Hello, everyone. My name is Seamus Braley, and welcome back to the interview. This is my new guest, Anthony Bonaventura. He's been in several films, a few TV shows. Most recently, he was in Mafia Definitive Edition as Dino, and apparently, he has more upcoming works as of now. Everyone, please welcome Anthony Bonaventura. How are you doing today, Tony?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, when I was checking out your IMDb in preparation for this, I saw you had a new upcoming movie. What was the title
Oh,
of that?
oh no, that was that was called Pale Blue Eyes.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it's funny you asked me that about that project first. That was something I wrote actually, and I was going to direct it and also be in it. And very personal story to me actually. It deals with the first time I met my biological father. Man to man, it's just pretty much a story about a guy sitting down with his father for the very first time. I met him when I was about 27 years old, and we had a really long conversation. And obviously, when you don't know somebody that you're supposed to know your whole life, it gives you kind of you have a awkward feeling throughout your life, or at least for those 27 years I didn't know him. But yeah, it was just a conversation we had, and a lot of questions, a lot of answers, and it was very cathartic to write. And then COVID hit, and that's what kind of put the project on hold. So it's something I definitely want to do.
All right. Yeah, because I was checking out on IMDb. I saw that you were writing, directing, starring in it. So I was wondering what the project was, see what it was. I'll check it
Yeah,
out whenever it comes out.
yeah. I mean, it was something that kind of I think the safest thing for me to say is that it bothers you if you let it bother you. And I think that's just with pretty much everything in life. That's something I've learned as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't realize that you were, I'm not going to say your age, but you're quite a bit younger than myself. So I commend you for being ahead of the game, at such a young age, and, doing the things that you do. It's rewarding to see, that the youth out there still have dreams they want to go after and pursue, and it's just a nice feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a lot of things I, of course, love to do at some point, and of course, I have a lot of things in the works, say like sculptures, art. There's a lot of things, of course, have that I just want to be able to kind of make my own kind of statement for it. And when it comes to you, I'm sure that you're starting to finally make your big statement with a lot of things, such as say Mafia, because I've seen like Mafia has gotten a huge fan base. It's a very dedicated one, and I've seen that because of Mafia, a lot of people start getting a lot of attention. Like say Jeremy, Andrew, Don, they've gotten a lot of attention since the game came out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were great in it as well, but they definitely play some of the main characters in the plot, and they did an excellent job. And Jeremy, it's funny, Jeremy and I used to be neighbors when I first moved to
Oh,
LA. Yeah,
nice. Were you guys neighbors before you worked on Mafia together, or was it just coincidence?
Uh, at the time, no, we were no longer neighbors at the time, but I remember seeing him at the audition, the initial audition, and obviously it's just like, oh hey, how you been, kind of conversation, and then it's like because Jeremy's a strong actor, and he's really good at what he does, so I was like, hey man, what role are you reading for? Because I hope it's not the one I just read for, and I think at that point we were all kind of reading for different roles. And it worked out the way it worked out. The casting is a very 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 difficult and hard process to do. And I'm just happy that I got to work with not just Jeremy but Andrew and Dom and everyone else that was a part of it. It was a fun project to work on. But Jeremy, I've known him for quite some time, and he's an outstanding, not just an outstanding actor, but he's an outstanding person. He's a really good friend, and he deserves all the success that he's had and that will come his way because he really stays grounded as a person.
Yeah, because when it comes to the different actors I was able to talk to, they're always incredibly nice, fun people, just very open to talk to. I actually was talking with Bella recently to set up a new interview with her, and I was talking with Jeremy not too long ago because a while ago, like Jeremy suggested not interview, review some of his films, like Jersey Shore Shark Attack or Small Shots.
Oh yeah, Small Shots was great. I
I
saw.
love Small Shots. I actually
Yeah,
showed it to my dad. I showed it to my dad, and he was laughing his ass off.
yeah. Well, I think that was the point. I mean, Jeremy's a funny, very funny guy, and his friend that's in Small Shots with him, Joey. I know him as well. I haven't seen him in a very long time because I know he had moved back to New York. But yeah, together, those two are really, really funny, and they're able to, the vulnerability around each other. I think is the key to their success.
Yeah, 'cause I've seen like a lot of friends who, of course, say do like work together. It always comes down to exactly say like how well they actually work together as people. If they don't work together as people, then it's not going to work that great. Because even like say like some comedy duos that I do think can be lackluster at times, like Will Ferrell and John C. Riley, they are still close friends, and that's why some of their works usually turn out pretty great, like Step Brothers.
Oh yeah, no, those two together are really good. I mean, there's, you talk about, comedy duos. I mean, I love what's their name? I'm kind of new to them, but Key and Pill.
Yeah,
Do you ever watch them? They're really funny together, and I know that they're. Well, I've never met neither one of them. I've auditioned for one of them before, actually, but I've never actually quite met them. But I would imagine they're pretty close friends in real life. I would imagine they have to be to do some of the skits they do together.
yeah, especially that they also had an entire show together.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did. Oh yeah, Key and Peele. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know for being an act. I mean, I used to watch a lot of. I still watch a lot of movies, television. It depends, on what I watch at times. Sometimes I get invested in the show, and then I don't know, something happens, life happens, where then I get really busy, and then I can't watch, all the episodes I wanted to watch, and it kind of just falls off the wayside. And but that's the cool thing about streaming is you can, when you find the time, you can go back and watch it. But yeah. So how was your day going today?
My day's been going all right. I had to get up pretty early so we could start the drive, and we just got back to Illinois about an hour ago.
Well, that's good. So the drive wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Like it's just long. It's like a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind. You know what? I've driven from L.A. to New York a couple times, and from L.A. to Chicago. I don't mind the drive actually. It's a lot of time to think and jam out to all your favorite tunes, and
Yeah.
hopefully not get a speeding ticket. But yeah, I don't mind driving long distances. It's really just sitting in the traffic, going a few blocks and then taking an hour. That's what frustrates me. I think, like, pretty
Yeah,
much.
actually, more like I even created like a playlist for myself just called Driving Jams, and it's just a lot of different songs I'm interested in.
Oh yeah. So who's your top artist?
Oh, that would have to be Freddie Mercury.
Who? Oh, Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, like
Uh,
Queen's my favorite band without a doubt.
Oh, I love Queen. Yeah, Queen they were fantastic. Fantastic as a group. And I saw the movie that Rami was in. I actually used to. Well, I didn't know him, but I used to work at the door at this nightclub in Hollywood. And before he made it like really big, I think he'd been in The Master, and he had a small part in The Master. And he started coming into this place I used to work at. And he's always very friendly guy, really nice guy. Just regular dude. Which was it's always a refreshing feeling to be around somebody who is like almost there or getting there, or they're going to get there, and they're just they stay humbled and grounded and just they're a regular person. Those are the kind of people I like to surround myself with. I mean, Jeremy's like that as well.
Yeah, 'cause when
Yeah.
it comes to, like, people like Rami, like, they had a lot of, like, stuff they were in before they really made it big. Because I think one of his earliest starring roles was, Night in the Museum, and then later on, he
Oh
got
yeah.
onto Mr. Robot, which Mr. Robot is what kicked off his career. Apparently, the people who made Bohemian Rhapsody actually got him because they saw his role in Mr. Robot, and they were so interested in it, they decided to get him to play Freddy, which Rami even kind of mentioned was kind of funny because just how different that character is from Freddy.
Oh yeah. Very very different because I think the iRobot one, he's very like reclusive in a lot of. Isn't he kind of like reclusive in that role, like the
Yeah,
robot? He kind of.
essentially he's kind of like a loner, like an
Yeah.
internet hacker, pretty much.
Oh yeah. He
I,
plays a hacker. That's right.
yeah, I've seen like a few episodes of the show. I still plan to get into it, but I kind of want to get a couple shows out of the way first because I'm still trying to watch The Sopranos so I can watch The Many Saints of Newark when that comes out.
Oh yeah. I want to check that out. That's the prequel, right? To
Yeah, it stars James Gandolfini's son as Tony Soprano.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. I wanted. I don't know if they where they shot. I think they probably shot most of it on the East Coast. I'm not sure, but I remember when they announced it, I was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be a great project to audition for." Something. It never happened, but I mean, there's always, as an actor, there's always these shows that you wish you can get an audition for, or land a part on. This past year was tough because with COVID, I'm at home watching some of the shows I watched. I watched like the last season of Ozark which was great. I love that show. And then Yellowstone is another show I really really liked a lot. Believe it was a great show, great writing, great characters. And those are the kind of shows. I send emails to my agent like, yeah, if there's anything for Yellowstone, let me know. Because I just love the show. I never thought
Yeah.
I'd be working on television shows. I mean, I just got back from Albuquerque. I was working on Better Call Saul, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I played like a little small part in one of the episodes for the sixth season, and it was just great because a lot of the crew they worked on Breaking Bad, and when they pick you up in the van, they show you like little Breaking Bad like moments, like, oh, do you remember that scene in Breaking Bad? Oh yeah, it was shot right there, and
Nice.
yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool, and the show is great show, and it's just that's I think my ultimate goal is just to work with people that are just extremely talented and have a good story to tell, and that which is I think probably most actors' goals. But there's a lot of paying your dues. Hollywood is a tough business at times, and but you never stop believing. I think you just can't stop believing in yourself, and especially with this last year, it was very very difficult for a lot of actors and writers and direct everybody in the business, really. I mean, everybody in even outside the business, it was just a very difficult year. But holding on to that faith in yourself, knowing that you're probably not going to be on set for a while because of everything that's been going on, it was very debilitating at times. And luckily there's other things you have in your life, hopefully that you can focus on. But I think most actors that are very serious about what they do, that's always at the forefront. You know,
Yeah,
um,
actors are always just trying to find that one breakout role that will kind of like say get them in the spotlight. Because when it comes to Jeremy, I feel like Small Shots was starting to become that, but then it just started kind of slowly falling off. Even though that's such a great film. However, then when Mafia came out, immediately just so much praise, so much attention came to Jeremy. Because like one of the roles I would always love to, if I could ever receive it, I would love to be a part of something like Mafia. Because if I ever got to be a part of something like that, that would be fantastic.
well, like I said, man. I mean, whatever dreams you have or goals you have. I mean, you're still incredibly young, so you have the world waiting in front of you. I'm quite a bit older than you, and I feel like I still have the world right in front of me, and it's based on decisions you make as a person, in your own personal lives and your professional life, and you just you keep banging away at it, and hopefully that big break, whenever it is, happens, and I believe it will happen for me. I mean, there's really no other option. I don't have a plan B, So I mean, I work. I have a regular job, of course, but it's always the acting stuff is just that always comes first.
Yeah.
If I have an audition, it's like I drop everything. I go over it and over it and over it until I feel comfortable. With sending it in. Now we do this. Self tapes, which is like I don't know. There's some benefits to it, but also I miss having that energy in the room. Right in front of the casting director, and it's a different kind of vibe. It's hard to explain, but but then again, with the self tape, if you mess up, you have another shot, and they don't know about it. It's just like regular TV, I guess. So there's some
Yeah.
pros and cons to it.
Yeah, because when it comes to your work, like you've been acting for a long time. What would you like? What would you say is your favorite role that you've done, or at least like what role are you most proud of?
Well, there's a few actually. Uh, yeah, I would say I did this. I did this series called Atropa. It's a sci-fi series. It started years ago, actually, like back in I think I don't know, 2013, 2014, where it was just like a proof of concept, film more for the director. Um, and he had a much bigger story, but he wanted to shoot like, I don't know, I think it was like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of this like proof of concept film to show investors what he can do as a director, obviously, and uh, get funding for like, to tell the whole story. And so we did that. And then like a few years later, I think it was, he hit me up and he goes, "Hey man, we found some funding for this project." And we shot it. I think it was like about a month long shoot. The budget wasn't really. I mean, it was, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't like what when you see it when you watch it, it's like wow, the budget like it's unbelievable for me when I see a little bit of it, and I'm just like, wow, they did a lot with a small amount of money. So and that went to Cannes series, which is like it came out. I think the first one was the year that we went to it. It was at Cannes Film Festival, but it's more for like web series or series, like little TV stuff. And so it went there, which was great. And Studio Canal, I don't know, had something, and they were involved with it somehow. And now I'm still waiting. We're all still waiting. It's been a while, but we're still waiting to see where it's going to go, and hopefully people can watch it. And but I'm very proud of that show or that project, because it was a lot of work on everybody's part. It was very, let's see what the word I'm looking for. It was just a like a passion project in some kind of ways, but also it's just like, you saw like all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. And yeah, I'm really excited for people hopefully to watch it soon. I talk to the director every now and then. His name is Eli Sasich, and he's a really wonderful dude, very smart guy, very versed in sci-fi. That's his whole genre, that's his life, in some kind of ways. And so yeah, that's one of them. And then I did this other project down in Mexico City years ago. It was a commercial for Hennessy, believe it or not, and never got aired, unfortunately. But the director, him and I remained friends. His name is Johnny Green. He's based out of England, but he's gonna go far as a director. He's done a lot of great commercials. And then the guy that shot it, the DP on that project, the Hennessy commercial, his name was Lena Sandgren, and he ended up winning an Oscar a few years back for La La Land. So I got to work with him, and
Ah,
yeah, amazing, amazing cinematographer, an amazing guy. Like that shoot was probably like, it was a grueling shoot. It was a lot to get done in like the 9 days. I was down there. I was the only actor in it. It was like this really, I don't know, kind of like avant-garde Hennessy commercial. That was just so much fun to shoot, and it was fun to travel. I'd never been to Mexico before, Mexico City before, and just to work with those kind of people, that kind of talent. And you learn a lot, being around people like that. That's for sure. So I always try to learn something new on every project I work on, and get something out of it, just besides some screen time or whatever, some check. I mean, if I wanted to make money, I would have gotten to real estate or something, or become a banker. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I want to just get rich and famous, and I don't know, I just never really had that kind of feeling about acting. It was just something that I knew I wanted to say something, and if it's a story that I can relate to, then great. But yeah, I'd say those two projects. I mean, I've done there's other things I've done that I liked a lot, and that I've gotten recognition for. But I think those two projects were my favorite and most rewarding, I think.
all right, nice. Yeah, because it always seems like say a lot of actors' best works are always the ones they're most proud of. Like say Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is always the most proud of films like Face Off. He even said that's his favorite film he's done. And when it comes like say a lot of different things, like say getting recognition in a business, it always depends like I say like what you got to get that recognition. Some people it's just a word of mouth, like saying, "Hey, check out this guy, check out this guy." However, by this point when you get like an Academy Award, like the guy who did La La Land, no matter what, it's just gonna be like they're gonna want to work with you no matter what happens. I
Oh
mean, the
yeah, I mean Linus.
like
I mean he shot. After the Hennessy commercial, I mean he went on to shoot American Hustle, and then he shot. Obviously, he shot La La Land. He won an Oscar for that. He shot Last Man with Ryan Gosling, and then he found. Last year or not last year, it was supposed to come out last year. He shot the last James Bond film with what's his name, Daniel
the one with
Craig.
yeah, the one with Rami as the villain.
Yeah, he shot that. So, I was really happy for him. I mean, he's amazing at what he does, really amazing at what he does. And, but yeah, when you're on set with people like that, you shut up, you watch them work, and you pay attention to why they're doing certain things, why they're switching out the lens for this shot. And, it all helps with the storytelling process. And, I'm very interested in that as an actor. That's kind of how I got into acting. I went to film school first. Believe it or not, I wanted to make movies, and I started, helping my friends out, here and there with like, oh, can you stand by that tree, and look suspicious? Well, sure, no problem, like, yeah, I could do that, and then that's how I kind of got into acting, more, and I just followed really more into that, and finally, I wanted to do my own project, and COVID hit, so it was just like, just a speed bump, like a very long speed bump. But I definitely want to, like I said, I want to get back, work on that project and finish it, for sure. But there's many
Yeah.
many projects I want to do and many people I want to work with. So if that can happen, great. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I've talked to who are working on projects. A lot of them have said, say that, yeah, it has to be pushed back a lot because Ward Roberts has mentioned previously that some of his work had to be pushed back a little while, like say a film he was making that's more like a family film. I mentioned it a lot in my interview with them. However, he said it got pushed back a lot because of COVID and because of say budget setbacks and all that stuff. And
Well,
when it comes,
yeah, yeah. A lot of it has to do with money, and if you have a whole year off not doing anything, I mean, it's going to be a little bit more tough, I think. I don't think for these bigger studios, but especially for independent filmmakers. But Hollywood's going to be there. It's been there for a very long time. Yeah, there's been some changes in the way, like when I was shooting in Albuquerque. I mean, it was weird because normally when I'm on set, I kind of just get so immersed in why I'm there and what I'm there for, and even if it's a small part, if you will, I try to stay around where I need to stay for that character throughout the whole time that I'm on set, and you get these little interruptions with. I had these little interruptions with my own process because you have somebody there to give you your mask, to take your mask from you. It's like, and before we didn't have those kind of not interruption. Well, whatever. Yeah, it's kind of like an interruption, but you have to, yeah, you have to abide by it, and it's just a new way to do things. And but it was, I felt it was just like it's just going back and forth, like a ping pong, bouncing from where I need to be with my character, and then into like real life, something that has affected the whole world. It's just lingering right over your shoulder, so it was kind of a weird process for me to get back into, but or something new for me. But it didn't change a whole lot, but it's definitely a change.
yeah, because when it comes to COVID, it has pushed back so many things. Because a game I was playing recently, Oddworld Soulstorm, got pushed back for its last delay because of COVID. Although it was getting pushed back a lot throughout the years. And when it comes like say my type of work, thankfully my stuff doesn't really ever get delayed because thankfully it all really depends on me when it comes to some of my work. And it is great to have the luxury of just being able to do what you want at your own time, which a lot of studios or a lot of independent filmmakers can't. I actually remember me and Andrew were talking about this a lot. I was saying like when it comes to say budget, you only have like say certain times to do certain things, and if you don't, then you're gonna have to pay more. You're gonna lose more, and you're gonna lose more than you make.
Oh
And
yes, especially when it's somebody else's money. I mean, when you have a schedule and you're working on investors' money, it's called show business, not show fun. It's show fun when it's your own project before a lot of money gets involved, and that's really, I mean, that's a great way to do it because you learn so much about the ins and outs of making your first, or second or third or whatever number production you're working on. But yeah, you are on your own time and sometimes on your own dime. So the time you do have, you really want to execute as well as you can. But you don't have that such a strict schedule to stand to because you hear about all these other stories with, oh yeah, they had a conflict with their schedule. That's why they couldn't play a certain role. And looking back, I'm sure there's many actors and actresses out there that are like, oh man, if only I could have played that role. But I was working on this movie instead, and it works out the way it works out, and whether that's fate or destiny or whatever you want to call it. But it's like a good problem to have. But I'd like to be able to work on everything that somebody wants me to work on, and including myself. So there's always a juggling process to this.
yeah, yeah, because like when it comes to some of your work, besides Pale Blue Eyes, has there been a say some of your work that had to be pushed back or delayed or had budget cuts or such?
Oh yeah, I mean, most of the time though, you don't really hear about it until after the fact. But they try to keep that stuff away from the actors, as much as they can because some actors, will focus on that rather than their work at times. So I think they try to keep that kind of, budget stuff and scheduling stuff. A lot of times actors are the last people to find out. A schedule change, believe it or not. It's not as glamorous as what a lot of people think now. That's the difference between like acting and then just being a day actor or having a small part as opposed to being a lead in something. Then you have a little bit more say in some things perhaps. But for me, I mean, when I played leads as opposed to when I played, whatever a co-star, I still bring the same energy, the same intensity, the same everything. I don't really ever look at it as something smaller or bigger. I just know that I'm doing what I really love to do, and that's kind of how I just applied myself, through every project. I don't really ever say, well, it's a small part, so I'm not going to give it my all, or I'm going to stay out the night before and drink. I mean, I just don't do that. And some people do, some people don't, but I just learned that no matter what role I'm doing, whether there is a budget cut or there's scheduling changes, I mean, you have to be able to go with the punches and adapt, and you give it your best every time, no matter what.
Yeah, it's always a great mindset to have because it always allows you to bring the most quality you can to a project.
For me personally, I would never show up to set being like, yeah, I'm this, I'm that. For me, it's always like, I want to get with the director, I want to get with the camera guy, and try to figure out the blocking as best as possible, because at the end of the day, everyone's there to tell the story, and there's always a time crunch, and there's always, it's a very stressful situation. So like that's why I like when I'm on set, I like to just stay where I need to stay at. I don't know. I can't speak for other actors because everybody has their own process. But yeah, you hear those stories, about certain people that come up to set, show up to set late, and think they're God's gift to the universe. And it's unfortunate that that happens, but it's something that happens in Hollywood all the time. And I just know who I am, and I know that will never be something that is talked about with myself. But at the same time, having a lot of passion with what we do, sometimes you don't always see eye to eye with a director, and I think it's okay to challenge that person with why we're doing it this way. And if it's convincing enough for me, if it's say something that's very important, the way I say a line or something, and I obviously depends on who you're working with, but if they convince me that this is the way it needs to be, then okay, no problem. I mean, at the end of the day, they are the captain of that ship. But I think they hired me for a reason to have my own input and have my own ideas as well. But so like I said, there's a balance between a lot. There's a balance on things. But I would never show up to set thinking I have all the answers, because a lot of times I don't, and I'm looking for them. And but you also have to come with your best A game, and not have too many questions for the director, because again, they hired you for a reason. So I was told when I was first started acting, don't ask directors too many questions, because then they start losing faith in you. So I try not to ask too many questions about my role or how I'm going to do this. I just do it, and it's always better to ask for forgiveness than permission. I would never ask a director, "Hey, do you mind if I do this?" It's like, I'm just going to do it. If it works, great. If they don't like it, they'll tell me to do it a different way, and then we move on to the next scene or whatever.
It also lets you get as much work as you can get done possibly, even for the say the smaller roles. I actually remember speaking of the smaller roles, like say your role of Dino in Mafia. I actually remember one day I texted Kenny, and one thing I said was oh, I'm kind of surprised Dino and Lou have so little screen time. The first thing he told me to do was contact 2K.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't look at it like that. I mean, they hired me for a reason. You show up to set. Hopefully, I did my job right. I mean, I wish there was more time for us, but it didn't work out that way, and that's fine. I mean, there'll be other jobs I have where I will be the lead, and I will have a big job, and but I will always have the same passion and the same drive if it's something small with no lines or a few lines, and as opposed to, where I'm studying every single night, the night before to learn my lines. I mean, for me, I love being on set no matter what. It's just a place I find a lot of joy, and I feel complete. I guess if that not to sound too cliche, but I feel very complete when I'm on set doing what I love.
Yeah,
So,
it always is great to be able to kind of get into the same mind space of what you enjoy. Like that's
yeah,
one reason why I kind
but if you want to contact 2K, no problem. Maybe Dino and Lou will have their own video game one of these days. You never know.
Yeah, so when I texted Kenny, the first thing he said was contact 2K, and so I just texted him back lol because I thought it was funny. I thought he was just joking around, and the first thing he texted me back with was no, contact them. I want to work again.
Oh yeah. Well, he was great on set too. I mean, he is such a presence. Like he doesn't really have to say a whole lot. I mean, when I first met Kenny, I'm like, oh my god, that guy is gigantic. Like I hope he's playing my bodyguard or something, or I don't know. I hope he's not throwing me on the ground or something like that. And thankfully, it was he was on my team. But yeah, he was just because that was my first time at San Francisco. Believe it or not, that's where we shot, like right outside San Fran. And I'd never been there, and we both had about 8 hours to kill. And so him and I went out, and he showed me like around San Francisco. We had a slice of pizza. It was raining, so we weren't really like outside a whole lot, but we were dodging the raindrops. But really nice guy. It was fun to work with him and everybody else, up there. And it was a little weird because you have this thing on, this outfit, and you forget that, like, you have this face covering thing on, and there's a little camera, like, I don't know, a foot in front of your face, and you can shut it off. They give you like this little battery pack. You can shut it off. You can shut off your mic and all that. And sometimes I forget about all that stuff that's hooked up to me. And when I went in and I used the restroom, I was taking a leak, and the camera's on my face the whole time, and I had no idea. And I just was like, I was so embarrassed about it. I was like, oh my God, I forgot to shut that off. But
They should have used that in the game.
well, I'm glad they didn't, because yeah, I'm so glad they didn't, because it was kind of embarrassing. But then, obviously, I knew to shut those things off.
I remember Warden and Drew always they were talking to me about this, and they were mentioning just how difficult it really was to kind of get the whole motion capture thing down, because you always had to hope everyone else was thinking the same thing as you. You had to pretend that thing over there was the bar. You had to pretend that thing over there was a door. You had just to constantly pretend everything was something else. And
Oh
when it
yeah,
comes when
yeah,
it
for
comes to your
sure.
experience with when it came to your experience with motion capture, was there any, like, say, difficulty getting into it? Was there, say, like, anything else you kind of like want to say about motion capture, like about like the process of it or such?
Well, I mean, I agree with them on certain things like that. I mean, you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, and hopefully the creators, will really work, do their best to get you there, to say, yeah, the bar is right here, and there's going to be 2 cups of coffee, or there's going to be this here or that here, and but you're only in your own brain and head, and you don't know where, I mean, hopefully for blocking purposes for the camera and the eye lines, you want to be very, aware of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, when you're a kid, or at least when I was a kid, playing guns with my brothers, or, whatever. I mean, whatever stories we came up with, and, things we, as children playing, I mean, with motion capture, those really start to come out more. I mean, they come out no matter what kind of project I'm working on, but I think with the motion capture stuff, they have to come out a little bit more, because you are creating every step you take, you're kind of visualizing the world around you that does not exist. So yeah, being, having your imagination open, but being on the same page as everybody else, and hopefully that's been talked about and rehearsed a little bit before, they yell action. And most of the time it is, so that's that does help.
Nice. So overall, how did you feel about the process? Did you like the process of working on the game? Is there anything else you would change? Is there anything else you wish you would have done or could have done?
Well, I wish I would have had more time, like more, more time in the game itself. But, like I said, I mean, I was very fortunate and blessed to be part of it. And my approach never changes, so whether it was a small part, would I change anything about it? No, I mean, that was just a learning process in my life. And I don't really know much about video games. I mean, I was a little. Okay, I've heard of motion capture, obviously, but I don't. The last time I played video games, that was probably, I don't know. I think I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It was like the last game I played. So you have to be mindful of, like, because the way video games are now, there's fans out there that, will either love it or they'll hate it. And so I think when you're on set, or at least when I'm on set, I don't really think of those things. But then after the fact, coming away from it, like, all right, I did my job, everything is done on my end. And then, it's going to be months and months and months later. And, with this one, it was very tight lipped. So I really couldn't say anything to anybody about it. And obviously, you want to talk about your successes and your wins in life and in your career. But, a lot of things really are tight lipped on set. And sometimes that's hard,
Yeah, I think it was Andrew or Ward who said this, but they were mentioning how on set for your phones they would like wrap tape around the cameras, make like tamper-proof tape to make sure you didn't mess with anything,
Oh yeah,
and just make
they'll cover all that up, and you sign, like a non-disclosure agreement about things. And Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that it has to be that way, but I understand, both sides of it, because if you have some kind of reveal that, you want, obviously it's a business and you want people to purchase the game and you want people to play it and enjoy it. But, that was why I was upset with one of those, those museums that allow people to take all the pictures of all the artwork and then they post it on Instagram or online or whatever somewhere, and then it's like you feel like you've already been, because when you show up and look at, you're like, oh, I've seen this on Instagram. So I understand that concept of covering the phones up, and that's definitely not the first time I've had to be involved with something like that, and it won't be the last time. So it's just like it's not a big deal to me, but yeah, it's very tight-lipped with a lot of productions. So you just kind of abide by it, and you go with it.
Yeah, for a while, Mafia was a very secretive project to a lot of people where there was a lot of NDAs involved. I remember, like, only recently Ward was able to actually say what the working title of the game was, not even the final one. He was mentioned that it was called Scotch. And when it comes to a lot of the other like things about it too, like leaks happen a lot in game development where say like things will leak out and people will hear about it. I actually remember like there was a few leaks from Mafia where people saw full missions before like 2K officially revealed them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like that happened where like I think it was like three missions that were leaked initially. And then like about a week before the game's released, the ending of the game leaked.
As far as the spoiler alerts and all this stuff. I think I remember hearing about it, but I just remember the person I dealt with the most. She was, they were all very, upfront about like, hey guys, don't say anything about anything. So I mean, I can only do my part. Other people will do what they will, and but I mean, when you see it everywhere, I mean, even when I was shooting, Better Call Saul, I mean, you can't post about it even though there's pictures of them on set already and like everyone knows there's a season 6, that are into the show, like you still couldn't like put it on your social media, which is all right. It's not, almost you kind of forget like because there's so much of it out there already. But that's sometimes that's the terms of it. And I do kind of remember hearing some things about Mafia. And it's crazy because I'm not a gamer, but I remember like being out in public and hearing people kind of talk about it at times, and it's just like, oh wow, they're talking about something that I was a part of and it's not even out yet. Like it's kind of a cool feeling.
Yeah, especially because when it comes to Mafia, like it's a small but dedicated fan base, and it's a very Mafia Definitive Edition split a lot of people where a lot of people love it and a lot of people hate it. But the main reason why people hate it was because of the original one, because a lot of people love the original very very much. It's very near and dear to a lot of people. But when it comes
Yeah.
to Mafia, it's almost like football fans almost. You can have two extremes, and one of them will just beat the crap out of you if you say anything wrong.
Yeah, well, that's life in general. I mean, there's always two sides, and I don't really know the original game. I've heard of it before, but like I said, I never really played video games, and but I will say this though, the amount of fans that have like even like the little part I played, like people reached out to me on Instagram and said they liked what I did, and it was just it's nice to hear. I didn't really know how big the fan base is. I mean, I know the fan base is big just for video games in general, but yeah, it's always rewarding when people talk about the things you've been a part of, and whether they love it or hate it. I mean, they're still talking about it, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't get too, like I said, I didn't get too involved in video games, but I know that there's a big fan base around video games, and it seems like all the ones from Mafia have been very supportive of the game, and I don't know if there's bugs in it or flaws, or I've never played it. I've never even seen I've seen myself more on like little videos that other people have made than the actual video game itself. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like it's something I did, and if they want to invite me back on something, sure, that'd be great. I don't know what their plans are, but I enjoyed the experience tremendously, and I'm always up to do what I love to do.
Yeah, because overall, that is always a great thing to kind of think about. To say even your smaller parts are always something that you should always be proud of. That's always just a great thing to see. And when it comes
Oh,
to
for sure.
Mafia, anyway, yeah, when it comes to Mafia, I'm sure like everyone involved is really happy to work with it. And of course, say now I'm starting to do the interviews, I feel like you'd be a decent one to interview because of course you have more of a career than just besides Mafia, which of course a lot of people are starting to recognize you for. So of course, I feel like it'd be pretty nice to kind of hear more about your career than only Mafia.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot more of stuff than just Mafia, of course, but yeah, it's something I've worked hard at, and I continue to work hard at it. And I've been, like I said, I've been blessed to work with some very talented people. I've met some very cool, interesting, smart people throughout my career, and it's great to see them have success. And it's just a fun, like, it's a big community, but it's also like, even like, whatever, no name kind of actors, like, I mean, I know tons of them, and I'm always happy to see them succeed. And there's always that, hopefully that one big breakout role for all of us. If that's possible, great. I know it probably won't be possible for everybody, but I still believe in it'll happen for me. And like, yeah, there's been a lot of other things I've worked on, and and it's also, I mean, there's somebody else I've worked with. When I did The Rookie, it was a TV show on ABC. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was a great show to work on as well. But SWAT, I worked on SWAT, and the director, I worked with him. He cast me in Animal Kingdom, and we were a fan of each other's. He was a super rad dude, and he passed away this past year. And we talked a lot about working together again. And he was a director in TV shows, and his name was David Rodriguez, but he was a super guy. And that was definitely very heartbreaking to see him pass away last year. Young guy, great, amazing, talented director, and he believed in me, and that was just a great feeling to have from him. And it's something I cherish, because he did a lot of great. He worked. He was a producer on Animal Kingdom. Like I said, he directed me in the episode of SWAT that I did, and we had other things we wanted to work on, and fortunately that's not possible any longer. But I'll always cherish our time together, and the simple fact that he was a working director in TV, in Hollywood, and he believed in me, that that will always stay, that'll always remain. So just have to be with, unfortunately, with somebody else. But his words will always, I'll carry them with me. And but you have those moments, and where you're on top and you feel like everything's going well, and all of a sudden you hear somebody that was great passed away, or somebody no longer wants to do it because they've had enough, or whatever the case is. And people go their own ways, do their own things in life sometimes. And but that's the other great thing about being on set is, hopefully if you work on something good or popular, like with Mafia. I mean, I had a small part, but it's something I'll always, it's a great memory for me that I've worked with some great people, and it's there, it's in my memory bank, and it'll never go away. And hopefully, I have a lot more memories for different shows or films. So.
Yeah, eventually, everyone's always going to have, like, say, possibly a role that they'll be most known for, or even a breakout role.
Well, I hope so. I mean, like, I did another movie that's not out yet, but I did a film called Los Angeles, and again, the director and I, we remain friends. I know his family. We talk, and that one's still not out yet, but I think it's such a great project to work on as well, and hopefully it'll be out soon. I'm not sure what the status of it is yet. I mean, there's so much more to filmmaking than just actually making the film. There's so many other factors involved. And as an actor, once you're done with your part, you're done. And, hopefully the chips fall where they may in your favor, and people can see the damn thing. But, I've done things that people will never see. And, I don't focus on those things, but sometimes part of the show, part of the show business. I mean, I've had friends that worked on episodes of TV shows, and then they find out their whole part got cut. And, it's got to be a devastating feeling to have, but it happens to every one of us. And you just, like I said, you just go on to the next role and give it your best no matter what.
Yeah, because like speaking of like parking cut, that reminds me how like there's a lot of actors who eventually become big people, like Steve-O from Jackass. Jackass is what got him really popular. However, he had say minor roles in the past where he even did a film, which I forget who was being directed by, but it was like the brother of like some big director, and essentially he had a whole part in the film. And last second, they dubbed over his entire voice.
For a movie called Palmer's Pickup, directed by Christopher Coppola. I really thought I did a great job in that movie, but when it came out, they had replaced my voice. Come on, guys, come on! I only had one scene, but it was a fight scene, and I really made it count. You're messing with the big time! Did a front flip, got my ass beat, did a backflip off a car, and fire breathing.
Yeah, I don't know that
Yeah.
one, but yeah, that kind of stuff happens, and you try not to take it personally. I don't know how he took it, but I'm sure somehow it affects the person. It's like, well, what's wrong with my voice? But I mean, for me, if the decisions are made for the betterment of the project, okay, that's the way I try to look at it. If it happened to me, I mean, yeah, it would probably sting a little bit, but he's still in the project, and Steve-O, he's going to be okay, I believe. I mean,
Yeah,
I
of
don't,
course.
I don't know what building he's climbing up today, but he's done some pretty crazy things out there in his career. So I think he probably still has crazy things to do.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's been doing a lot of crazy stuff still. He did a new special called Gnarly, which is kind of a new Jackass film. And he also did this whole thing where he was protesting SeaWorld. Like after the movie Blackfish came out, he decided to protest SeaWorld
Oh
in
yeah,
two
I
different ways.
remember. I watched that documentary.
Yeah, I watched with my buddy Josh because Steve-O decided to protest in two ways. One way was very simple. He went on top of a road sign that said SeaWorld Drive and he taped over it and said SeaWorld sucks.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
I think I remember seeing that.
yeah, and then there was another one which became like a lot bigger, but it didn't really do that much to help his cause. Since essentially what he did, he had an inflatable orca that said hashtag SeaWorld sucks on it. And then he went on top of a giant crane, lit off fireworks, and people had to get him down with like the fire department,
Oh, that
police.
was in Hollywood, I believe. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember. I was in Hollywood, and I said, "What's all this commotion going on?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, somebody's on the top of that billboard or something, or they got stuck somewhere." And then come to find out it was Steve-O. But I remember that, yeah, because he was on a crane. That's what it was, and it was like way above Hollywood. Because I remember seeing it, and then like a few hours later, you hear about it, and you're like, "Oh, okay, well that makes sense."
yeah. Later on, he raised I think like $100,000, something like that, and he gave the check to the fire department as like an apology.
Oh, well, that's nice, It
Yeah,
was
he started doing
probably.
like these signed prints where he would do like a stunt. He'd take multiple photos of it and he'd sign them and he'd sell the prints. And so all the proceedings would go to like say charities or funds or such like that.
Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, if you have some extra money to throw around and you want to help somebody, help a cause out, I understand. People do it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, hopefully it's a good cause, and somebody will benefit from it.
Yeah, because he was like, so for the people out there who are listening, what would you say is good advice for people who want to get into acting?
I would say just do it. There's no right or wrong. Well, I mean there is, but in essence, there's not. I mean, I would just say go out and do it. You don't know until you try. One, I mean, with me, I mean it was when people see me, back when I went middle school with certain people or high school, for them to see me on whatever, a TV show or a video game or a Super Bowl commercial or whatever the case is. I mean, they find I think some of them find it very funny and then also very unbelievable because when I was a kid growing up, one, I used to have a really bad stuttering problem, believe it or not, where I didn't really even talk to anybody. And then, you kind of have this, people start to judge you at a certain age and, maybe pick up some of the characteristics how, when you're young, I think you pick up these characteristics of how the, the world sees you rather than how you see yourself. And so that's part of growing up and changing as a person. But I think if you want to be an actor, one, go out and do it, try it at least. And if it's something that you really like and you find a lot of passion for it, then I would say, that should be your focus and try to get some of the, distractions out of your way. I was just talking to this kid I work with the other day about that. He was telling me he wants to be a car mechanic and he wants to do this and that. And I said, well, what are distractions in your life that are holding you back from that, preventing you from doing that? And he's started listing off all these things. And I said, well, all those things are more important than what you want to do then, is what you're telling me. And he said, no, it's not. And I said, well, then reverse those things. I mean, you got to put time in and you got to, again, pay your dues to it. And it's not easy at times, that's for sure. But my only advice is, as far as if you want to do something, just go out and do it. And then two, yeah, I think the more comfortable you are as a person, who you are as a person, understanding who you are, I think that'll help with anything that you do. But I think it will definitely benefit with acting as well. And it'd be a good person. You're a good person in life, and you start doing good things. elsewhere. And, word travels fast, whether it's your talent or how you treat people, people will always remember how you make them feel. So
Yeah.
you want to be a good actor, be a good person, you know?
Yeah, because like a lot of people who are big actors now, they always started off as say just the smallest you can get. Because Sylvester Stallone, he originally started off on like little side roles on shows like MASH. Then he eventually got on to Rocky because it was an idea he created. He created the characters, he wrote the script, and eventually when he pitched the idea, they loved it so much. And so that's when they decided to make the film. And after Rocky came out, it became a Best Picture winner. It became a huge phenomenon.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what
Rocky.
pushed
You're talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, and Sylvester
one of my favorites.
Stallone. Yeah, I love Rocky. I mean, I've that was when I was younger, people were like, "Oh, you kind of remind me of like a young Sylvester Stallone a little bit," and I loved Rocky, all of them. Rambo. I think Sylvester Stallone's story is it's been such an inspiration to many people, including myself. And I've never worked with him, but that's one person that I would love to work with one of these days. So if Stallone is out there listening, which I don't know if he is or not, but if he was, yeah, I mean, one, he's a hero to me, and I just with what he did with Rocky was just like, wow, so good.
Speaking of like looking like a young Stallone, like a lot of people, whenever I ask someone who I look like, I always get different answers every single time. Yeah, the most common one I got was Owen Wilson, just a bunch of different like answers just out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, those are very different looking guys too. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
Maybe your hair was different, perhaps you had a hat on. Who knows?
I have a very non-specific looking face, so anyone can say I look like anyone.
Mm. Yeah, see, I mean, I've gotten Stallone at times. I've gotten Sean Penn. I've gotten that a lot. And I love Sean Penn as an actor. I think he's one of the most talented actors. He's done some amazing work. Yeah, I don't know. I get different things, but those are the two I get the most, probably. I think. Then Aiden Quinn, I get him sometimes as well. But people are always like, yeah, you kind of have like an Aiden Quinn thing going on, but you're more edgier, or
Nice.
more rough around the collar. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, hopefully, I'll just be me. Everyone else is taken. So I mean, I might resemble somebody, but there's only one Sylvester Stallone, and there's only one Anthony Bonaventura. So.
Yeah, because it's like when it comes to your different roles, as you mentioned before, you love a lot of different roles, like say Rocky, Rambo. Out of any role you've ever seen, just anything in general, what would be your dream role?
Oh, that's a really good question, man. I don't know. I mean, there's so many. The first answer that came to my head was Taxi Driver, Travis
Oh,
Bickle.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah, I love that role. That's one of my favorite movies. Such a great, he's a very misunderstood character, one, and Robert De Niro's done some of the most amazing work that I've seen. I mean, it was him and Scorsese. Growing up watching them was kind of like a big inspiration for me to even want to make movies or somehow get in this industry. Yeah, but Travis Bickle role, from Taxi Driver. I also love Paul Newman and Cool Hand Luke. I think that role. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. If you've never seen it, watch it. It's a really, really great performance by Paul Newman. And it's a great movie. But yeah, but there's a lot of different roles that I would love to have played. But they played them, and hopefully one of these days someone will be like, oh yeah, Anthony's role, he played in this. I would have loved to play that role. I mean, who knows? But yeah, there's a lot of different roles I'd love to play. But off the top of my head, Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver is definitely and Rocky, but Stallone did it so well. I mean, so did De Niro, but they put their own thing in it, and that's what makes it special. So it's hard
Of
to
course.
it's hard to say. Yeah, I would. I mean, yeah, I would love to play Rocky, but I'm not Rocky. Sylvester Stallone's Rocky. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, going up the stairs and saying, yeah, hey, yo, Adrian, we did it. I mean, those are like amazing moments in that guy's, that character's life, and Stallone really knocked it out of the park with all the Rockies. And I actually auditioned for one of his last films that he just got done shooting. What was the name of it? I can't remember the name of it now. He plays like a superhero kind of guy, like a normal everyday guy who's kind of like a superhero. Yeah, he shot it like last year. I remember auditioning for it, and I didn't get the part, but I remember auditioning for it, and it was just like it wasn't like a big role or anything like that, but yeah, he's definitely somebody I'd love to work with. Scorsese's another guy I would love to work with. I mean, he's been in a lot of He's made a lot of great pictures that I love and I admire. But there's tons of people and there's tons of roles I'd love to play. But hopefully I'll get my own and you know see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, personally, there are plenty of roles I would love to play too, or people I'd love to work with. Like, however, if I could play any role I wanted to, like Jim Carrey already did an amazing job with this, but I would love to do a new adaptation of Andy Kaufman's life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I love the story of Andy Kaufman. He's a huge kind of like inspiration to me. There are some missed opportunities though, so if I could ever have a chance to, I would love to finish up that story that they were telling.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, what's stopping you?
Not really anything.
Well, there you go. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, like who would you like? What actor would you say has been the biggest inspiration to you?
I would say, yeah, like De Niro, Stallone. But I mean, I love, a lot of the stuff that Daniel Day Lewis has done. I mean, I think to work with Tom Hardy would be great. I think working with Shia LaBeouf would be, I met him a long time ago on Transformers when it was weird because I was just doing background and then they bumped me up to like some kind of like stunt role, and so I got to somewhat work with him. And we were outside, we were having a cigarette, and this was years ago. This is like the Transformer that the movie that John Malkovich was in. I remember I got to meet him as well and shared a cigarette with him. And but yeah, I mean, I think he's done. He did a movie called Lawless years ago with Tom Hardy and what's the other guy's name? Shit, I can't remember. But Lawless was a really good movie. I don't know if you saw it. It deals with prohibition and moonshine. But yeah, as far as inspiring me, like definitely De Niro, probably my biggest one, and him and Stallone for sure. Yeah, and Sean Penn too. I love Sean Penn. I mean, some of the stuff he's done is just like makes me scratch my head. Like, wow, he was able to make himself that vulnerable and that true and real at that moment in time to capture it on tape. It's just those are kind of actors I want to work with, actors and actresses.
Yeah, because I remember like when it comes to Sean Penn, uh, there was a movie in 2012, the Three Stooges, where apparently when they were making the film, Fox was kind of worried that the brand was a little too old to sell. So they initially cast big name actors like Jim Carrey as Curly and Sean Penn, I think, as Mo.
Yeah,
So
I remember reading about that.
yeah, so he was ready to be in it until they decided to get new actors like Chris Diamantopoulos as Mo and two others, but I forget what the names were.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think I saw that film actually. I remember reading about it when they announced it a while back. However, when did you say it was 2013?
2012.
Oh, 2012. Yeah, I remember reading about it, and yeah, I guess they cast different people in it, but I think it would have been cool with. I think wasn't John C. Riley supposed to be in it as well?
I'm not sure if he was. Like maybe he was. I'm not sure. If anything, he definitely would have played Larry.
Yeah, yeah. I think he might have been mentioned in that movie as well, perhaps playing a role. I can't remember; it was so long ago. But yeah, again, things happen, and whatever role is meant for you is meant for you. I try not to take it too personally, myself. But yeah, I just love what I do, and again, hopefully, I can just work with I mean, a lot of it's working with the right people as well. I mean, you look at Scorsese, how many times he's worked with De Niro and how many times he's worked with, Harvey Keitel and, Joe Pesci. I mean, those guys together are pretty amazing, but they have the comfortability around each other to where, an idea can just, be conceived right there at that moment. And then they work with it. And, that's where the magic happens on set, I think.
Yeah, I feel like people like Joe Pesci. Like Joe Pesci's most definitely like the actor I would love to work with the most. If I could talk with Joe Pesci, like that would just be amazing. Uh,
Well, Jeremy worked with him, I believe. I know Jeremy was on set with De Niro with The Irishman. I'm pretty sure he met. I think he met. He said he met Joe Pesci. I can't remember, but yeah, Jeremy's worked with some big hitters, man. He's worked with Scorsese and De Niro, and I was so happy for him. I was really proud of him, one, but I was really happy for him too because I know it's a dream come true for him. And
yeah,
hopefully one of these days I'll get to work with Scorsese. I mean, I think everybody would love to work with him.
yeah. I'd feel like there's only two actors I would love to work with, and like two directors I mean that I would love to work with, and one of them is sadly gone by now.
Who's
But
that?
Scorsese and Kubrick.
Oh yeah, Kubrick was a genius. I mean, I think
most definitely.
I think everyone that worked with him probably became a better actor and maybe had a better understanding of just a better understanding of him as a person. And yeah, it would have been great to just even have a conversation with the guy.
Yeah, he was a
Um,
fantastic director, but such a piece of shit to his actors. Because
yeah, I've heard some stories. I heard Hitchcock was like that as well. I'm not sure, you know.
Uh, and when it came to Kubrick, specifically with The Shining, is a great example where he never let Shelley Duvall like talk to Jack Nicholson. He kept her away from it as long as she could, and he only let them talk when they were actually performing. And so the scene where she's swinging the bat at him repeatedly, and he keeps saying, "Give me the bat, Wendy. Give me the bat, Wendy." Her eyes, like you can see, like say pink around her eyes because she was actually crying repeatedly while trying to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
apparently,
mean,
like
sometimes we don't know what happens on set, and you know, then we find out later on, you know, years later, like all the, you know, all the weird, the whatever uncomfortable moments that could happen on set, and I don't know, it's tough to, you know, it's like on one hand you okay, you understand, and then on the other hand, it's like, well, did they really have to do all that? But I mean, that's not for me to say, you know, if that ever happened to me on set, and I believed in the person that much or the production that much, then you know maybe I would do some. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, me staying away from another actor or actress isn't going to bother me all that much. But I've heard some other stories where people had to do this or that, and it's like, well, you know, that's not for me to decide if it's right or wrong. I mean, if they're there and they went along with it, then that's on them. You know, eventually at the end of the day. So but yeah, I've never really had a big. I'm gonna be honest. Being on set is not always nice, and it's not always glamorous. And I mean, I've seen directors push over the DP before, and I just was standing there like in complete shock. Like, wow, we're all here trying to work together. Like, let's act like adults and not get so crazy. You know, I've seen that on set, but obviously you want to step away from it and just hopefully they gather their thoughts and remember that they're working professionals and there's people watching and we get back to business. But yeah, I've been lucky. I haven't really had to deal with, from what I remember, I've never really had to deal with like super crazy things on set, which is nice. You hear about them and what can you do? Just well, nothing I can do about it. I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen again, and you can work in a professional environment, but sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, and you got to be up. You got to kind of be up for well, not anything, but you have to be prepared. Uh, and again, it goes back to just being a good person and knowing where your boundaries are with yourself and your working self, and hopefully everybody's on the same page and you can make something good and brilliant together.
Yeah, thankfully from the actors that I've met, like Jeremy and a few others, like they've all said that say the actors they've worked with were very kind people. Like say like and I assume that it is like something just absolutely great because they're able to work kindly with the director without say anything bad getting in the way. Because I've heard Hayden Blackman was great to work with. I've heard Martin Scorsese was a nice man to work with. Andrew was even talking about how he worked with Ben Affleck as a director and mentioning just how great he was with his actors because he's an actors director, so he actually let the actors kind of do what they wanted, where they were allowed to pitch lines, they were allowed to kind of like move around and say what they wanted to do, make sure everything kind of worked out fine.
Yeah, well, when you have that kind of free form to play with, I mean, I think the actor would probably be more comfortable with that. I guess it just depends on if the writer's on set, and, if the writing is like, really, really, important. I mean, obviously it is important, but if you can change a couple things, sometimes you can't, and sometimes it's got to be word for word, and you got to be ready for that as well, because on one hand they say don't marry your lines, like they can change, but then sometimes you get on set and you can't change a thing, and you just have to be ready for it. And again, how you handle your business, your own personal attitude with it, it goes a long ways. And yeah, hopefully it's just it's not always going to be pleasant, but hopefully the outcome will be rewarding and you get something out of it, that you can carry with you for a long time to come.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, it heavily deals with, say, like, what project it is too. Because when it comes to directors, I feel like if it's like a personal project of theirs, they'll try to be as controlling as they can with it. If it's just like, say, a good film they're trying to make, they'll be as free as they can. Personally, if I was a director, I'd kind of have kind of a mixture of the two ideas, as long as like depending on what it is. Like, if it was a biopic, I'd want it to be as accurate as possible, so I'd probably be a little more strict with stuff like that. However, if I feel like the actors have better ideas, feel like they work better, and if it's a different type of film, I'll let actors like they do what they want as long as it actually helps advance the film instead of pushing it back.
Yeah, well, some instances, I mean, obviously there's, you know, if you're doing like a story about a real person, I mean, obviously you want to be, with whatever part you're trying to tell, to say in that scene, you want to be truthful, but, obviously there's other times where, it's just going to get Hollywood and there might be some inaccuracies in the way they tell the story or certain events, but if the essence of that character is there and, everybody's happy with it, I mean, hopefully that's the case. I mean, it's not always the case, but, there's lawyers out there as well, so sometimes I think you have to be very cautious with how you portray somebody's life. I've seen movies about real people and, I felt like they did a disservice to them, in their legacy. And other times I was like, oh yeah, they hit it out of the park with this, So I guess it depends on how much you know about that person that they're telling the story about, and But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just love what I do, and whatever project I can work on, if it's something that I'm really interested in, then even better. But yeah, it's not. It's a tough business, man. I'll tell you that much. It's a very tough business, and there's no really right or wrong way to prepare for it. Again, I think you just have to don't forget where you come from, stand your ground as far as what you're willing to, because that's the other thing too. I mean, my agent will send me an email or shoot me a text like, "Are you willing to show full frontal nudity?" And it's like, well, what's the project, who's directing it, what's the is there any more information you can share with me, because before I make a big decision like that, I'm going to want to know a few more details about it, and then it's up to me to decide, so yeah, I mean, it's I mean, we still have our own personal choices to make.
All right, so when it comes to like, since we haven't talked about this in a while, when it comes back to Mafia or just Hangar 13 in general, would you like to work with Hangar 13 again for say another game at some point?
Oh, for sure, yeah, no, they were great to work with. Yeah, I would work with them again for sure.
Nice, yeah, because like a lot of people who I've talked to, some of them have got to meet Hayden Blackman, and everyone I've talked to who said they have met him, all have always said he's a great person. Did you ever get to meet Hayden?
That was the director, right?
Yes.
Yes, no, I met him. Yeah, no, he was great. I was like, wait,
Nice.
I know that name. That name sounds familiar. Oh yeah, that's right. It was on the call sheet. No, I met him. I know when I did the voiceover stuff, when I, after we shot the mocap, all that stuff, we had to go in and do some, uh, whatever, like voiceover stuff, ADR,
Oh, so were
and
they done separately? Like one side motion capture and one side audio?
well, I mean, no, it was done all together, but sometimes, the sound's not that great, on that certain day, and you go back in and you'll just dub your lines again. But yeah, no, he was great to work with. I mean, like I said, everybody was great to work with. It was a fun, and again, I wasn't there, weeks on out like some of these other guys were. I worked like, I don't know, maybe like 3 days on it, perhaps. I think it
All right.
was. So, I mean, you have 3 days, so you got to make it enjoyable. But it was completely enjoyable for me. I mean, sometimes if you're doing it for 3 weeks, people get comfortable on each other, and who knows? But in the 3 days I was there, yeah, it was a great experience. And yeah, I would work with Hangar 13 again for sure. If they wanted to work with me, why not?
All right, and another quick question about Mafia, because I was kind of curious about this. Of course, I know they say if they don't have the actor, and they'll kind of just say get someone else to kind of just do it for them as long as it's nothing that big. So later on in the game, there's a scene where Dino goes to a funeral and he's dressed up and he's with everyone else. Was that scene you in the motion capture, or was that something else?
Yeah, I don't think that was me. I don't the one yeah, I don't know, that wasn't me, because I remember the scene that I was used in was mostly all that stuff when, oh God, what's his name in the show? Andrew's character name, was it Tommy, right?
Yes.
When he's having the coffee and then Dino and I or Lou and I show up,
Yeah.
whatever. Lou and Dino show up and they rough him up a little bit and they chase him down. Like that was most of the stuff that I shot. The funeral scene, I don't. Yeah, I wasn't a part of that. I don't even remember that.
Okay, yeah, because in that scene, like, there's people like, say, Glenn, Saul, Matthew, just a bunch of people there. So I was wondering if that was you or not, because I know sometimes they'll just get someone else if it's only like a body thing.
Oh yeah, that probably was the case. Yeah, I don't know if Dino even talks in that scene, but
Doesn't.
oh yeah, yeah, that wasn't me. So they probably just used somebody else. And I just remember too when the thing came out, the face of Dino, I was like, well, that doesn't really look a whole lot like me, that's for sure. And then I think they had mentioned something along the lines of like there was kind of like they had time constraints and they just kind of had to put like like a default picture almost of like a couple people mixed together because I mean it doesn't really resemble me that much. And again, I really didn't like I didn't really have any too much more thought about it. I was happy to be involved with it, and whatever makes whatever makes the game get completed. Because I know they have a time schedule they got to adhere to. So yeah, but the funeral stuff, I don't even I've never even seen that footage, or
All right,
I've never seen it, so that was definitely somebody else.
all right.
Hopefully they did Dino justice.
Yeah, all it is, all he does is just open up a door and he stands.
Oh, great. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure they did great on that part then.
Damn, Oscar worthy.
Yeah, right. It should have been me opening that door. Damn it. No, I mean whatever. However, they got to finish the game and get it all done and complete. It has nothing to do with me anymore at that point. It has everything to do with them. And so yeah, I was like again, I was just happy to be involved with it, and I know a lot of people were excited about it, and a lot of people have enjoyed the game that they put out, and that's what it's all about.
Have you ever thought about trying out the game for yourself just to kind of see like what the final product was?
Yeah, I have, but I just, I mean, what is it for PlayStation 5 or something like that?
PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Oh, okay. I don't have any of those things. But yeah, I mean, if I had the time and the means, I would probably want to I've seen the gameplay on online and in clips. But to actually go through the menu and to see like all the cool little things you can do with the game, yeah, I would, if I had the time to do it and the means to do it, yeah, of course I would do it. Yeah.
Yeah, is there anything that you wish you could have changed regarding that game?
Just to have more Dino time, I guess, just to be that way. I guess that'd be the only thing I would change. I guess is just to have more time with Dino. But you know, no, not really. I've never really played it, so again, I'm just happy to be that I was able to be a part of it, and I'm happy for Jeremy and Andrew and Don and everybody really. But yeah, if I could change anything, maybe just to have a little bit more time with Dino. It was fun. Even with the voice and changing my voice up a little bit. And it's weird because I'm from Chicago originally, but there's definitely an accent. To people that are from Chicago and living in LA for 12 years. I kind of lost it a little bit. So I called up some friends from Chicago that still have that real thick Chicago accent, which I learned is kind of a dying accent, believe it or not. But I talked to some friends, and I got it back, and it was nice to hear because I'd been away from it for a while. But yeah, if I changed anything, maybe just to have a little bit more time with Dino, just to have fun because it was a lot of fun.
All right, yeah, because I remember Ward mentioned that you guys had like a dialect coach, so you know what was going on. Because it's not just Chicago accent; it's Chicago accent from the Prohibition era, so that's the '30s. So you're not only just like doing one version of the accent; you're having to do like say a completely different version.
Well, believe it or not, there's people from Chicago that still sound like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a generational thing, and there's certain pockets of Chicago, different neighborhoods that people still sound like that, and it's just for me, it's always nice to hear because I always feel like I'm back home when I hear that accent. It's refreshing to hear. Sometimes it's a little harsh, with certain words, and it's got there's this toughness behind it. But I enjoy the Chicago accent a lot.
All right, all right. So basically, overall, when it comes to like just your career overall, how would you look back on your career?
I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate. There's sometimes I wish I would have got into it sooner, or sometimes I say to myself, I wish I would have moved to LA sooner and perhaps got out of LA sooner. But yeah, I mean, everything kind of leads me to where I'm at right now. So I'm just happy that I was able, that I'm looking back on it, I was just happy that I was able to pursue my dreams. And I think there's a lot left in my gas tank, for sure, not just with the, acting, but with life, So looking back on, it's just an extension of my life in some ways, when I look back on my acting career. And yeah, there's a lot more to come. I try not to look back too much. The rear view mirror is small for a reason. So I'm
Yeah, just kind
always,
of look forward.
yeah, try to look forward. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some great memories that I have, and hopefully just keep moving forward and work as much as I can. That's the name of the game.
Yeah. So last thing, are there any people from the game that you would love to work with again?
Oh yeah, for sure, all of them. Yeah, I mean, I love working with Jeremy. I would work with all those guys again. I mean, we all went out for, well, not all of us, but it was Andrew, Jeremy, Don. We all went out for pizza, and we talk. I don't talk to them as regular as we did when I lived in LA, but I know that they're a phone call away or a text away, and we could just shoot the shit. And but yeah, I would work with all of them again for sure.
Nice. All right. Well,
Well,
thank you
yeah,
very
but
much again.
yeah, no, I want to say thanks for wanting to sit down and shoot the shit, and hope the rest of your day goes well. And yeah, thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, great to hear from you, man. Hope you have a great day.
All right, you as well. I appreciate it now.
All right. See you, man.
All right, take care now.